JF Stretford, Paddock, this is the paper talk. You know the dance by now. It's live, it's in the studio. So you, yes, you need to get involved in the comments and the chat and let us know what you think about all the latest Manchester United stories. We're going to be talking about everyone's favourite topic or least favourite topic, depending on your point of view at the minute. Harry Maguire had a little bit of a ropey one, shall we say, for England last night, if you even care about that. So we'll be getting into that. There's been a bit of a fallout from that performance. Also, we're looking at some transfer rumours because we love a good transfer rumour. And just because we're in, the back end of September doesn't mean there aren't any transfer rumours. So we'll be getting into that. Obviously, talking about that man, if I can find him there, Tammy Abraham, could be heading to Old Trafford. Also, Pau Torres. Is it me or does it feel like we always have a Pau Torres rumour, story, report, whatever you want to call it? So we'll be getting into all that. So make sure you're getting involved as well. We want to hear from you guys. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know. And also let us know if you've heard anything. Let us know your opinion as well on Harry Maguire. We'll get into that Harry Maguire thing straight away because England drew last night with Germany 3-3. Now, I didn't watch the game. I was going to watch it. We had a bit of a discussion in our house and ended up watching the Jeffrey Dahmer thing on Netflix instead. Anyway, I saw the score. I saw the highlights. I saw some of the goals. And I saw that Harry Maguire gave away a penalty. I saw also, for one of the other goals, I think, did he give the ball away about 30 yards from the German goal? And yet he gets the blame for that goal because losing the ball eventually led to the German, another German goal. So he's been getting pelters, which, it's been a sort of the story of his season so far. Now, the thing with Maguire is, I'm open to criticising Harry Maguire. I think when you're Manchester United captain, which I think, or club captain, whatever you want to call him, and you cost the money he did, and you play as often as he has done, and you've got the experience he has done, if you play badly, you should be open to criticism. However, some of it I do feel is just a little bit OTT. I'm not going to lie to you. Like this season for United, obviously, he played in the first two games. We lost them both. Some people pointing fingers at him. I don't think he played particularly badly, but, we did lose both games. In the second one, we did lose heavily. So you can understand why some people going, that's not, good enough. Martinez has come in and been absolutely mint. So people then go look at the comparison between Martinez, who's come in, shown leadership. We've been getting wins. We've been getting clean sheets. Then you look at Harry Maguire. None of those things were really happening under him. Then you have I remember the Arsenal game, I think, where he came on, gives away a free kick and gets the yellow card. Everyone was giving him pelters. And I thought, well, he did the right thing in that situation. I think Casemiro gave it away. And Harry Maguire not made the foul, Jesus is in. So sometimes I think the criticism is valid, and other times I think it can be a bit OTT. And I'll be brutally honest with you. I'm not that bothered what goes on with England, especially not in the Nations League. Weren't England already relegated? And I do say we. I'm from England. I do. When we get to a tournament, I want us to win. Weren't we already relegated anyway? So it's not like he's cost us, a chance of silverware or whatever. It does seem a little bit OTC. Some of the criticism, and I've seen it. I've seen everyone on social media obviously hammering him. There was reports didn't he get booed, I think, before the game, or his name got booed, which I think is a little bit bizarre. I remember being in Australia where he got booed, and that felt bizarre from a United point of view. From an England point of view, I think it's even worse. And you think, well, why is it worse? I think it's worse because, well, you might look at it and go, for United, okay, we cost a lot of money, hasn't won anything. He's become a symbol almost of United underachieving. I think he's done well for England. England have got to the semi-final of a World Cup and the final of the Euros. He was in the team of the tournament, money for the Euros, and he scored his penalty in the final. So I don't think he's been bad for England. So I'm a bit baffled as to why England fans are hating on him. Anyway, he's been getting stick because of that game last night. There are some quotes. His players have sort of rallied round him. In fact, someone's in the quote here. So I think Witterbird says, sure, sticking up for him. He's damaging to Maguire mentally as he will still think he doesn't need improving. He shouldn't be so protective for his own sake. I'm going to get into that, actually. It's an interesting point because Luke Shaw said, Harry, meaning Harry Maguire, is an amazing player, an amazing character. He's taken a lot of stick, probably more than I've ever seen before in football. Now, can we just stop for a second? Yeah. I understand why Luke Shaw would stick up for his mate. Because he's not just his England teammate, is he? He's a United teammate. They know each other quite well. Obviously they played a lot against United and they play next to each other when they play for United. So, you can understand why he'd be keen to stick up for his mate. However, I don't quite buy into the idea that Harry Maguire has had more stick in football than Luke Shaw's ever seen. I don't even think he's had more stick in football in the last 12 months than I've seen before. I think if you go back to the Euros when Saka, Rashford and Sancho were getting death threats and racist abuse. I don't think you can say that Harry Maguire's had more stake than you've ever seen before. And, you know, maybe Luke Shaw's younger than I am, so maybe he doesn't remember it, but I remember it anyway, when, you know, papers were putting dartboards with David Beckham's face on him, and there was effigies hanging from lampposts for him. Now, to be fair, Luke Shaw, he's a bit too young for that, so he might not remember that stuff. But he certainly remembers some of the abuse that his England teammates have had. It was only a year ago, or 18 months or whatever it was. No, it was about 12, 14 months, whatever, the Euros anyway. So it does seem a little bit OTT to say this is the worst stick he's ever seen anyone have. But I get it. He's sticking up for you, mate. So, right, all right. Reece James has also joined in. He says, there's no doubts. He said, at the moment, the confidence might not be there because it could feel like the whole world is against him. Oh, sorry, I think that's part of the Luke Shaw quote as well. Sorry. Reece James says, there's no doubts it's just a little slip-up, and I'm sure he'll bounce back and be stronger than before. Do you know who should be taking some stick in all this? It's not Harry Maguire. Although, you know, maybe he takes a little bit of criticism, but Gareth Southgate should be getting grief. He's the one that picks the team. He's the one, I didn't see it again, but England were chasing the game. Didn't he leave Ivan Toney on the bench and bring on, was it Jordan Henderson or something? I don't know. He just, to me, plus, what have England done in this Nations League thing? They've been relegated. Why's the manager not getting, you know, criticism? Can't blame all that on Harry Maguire. Did England go a load of games without scoring as well? Is that Harry Maguire's fault? Come on, I think he becomes like the bogeyman at times, Harry Maguire. Some of his criticisms are valid, some of it is just OTT. And I think that, you know, somewhere in the middle might be right. Shiva Blagan says, honestly, I low-key don't want to see Maguire back in a United or England shirt. The way I see it is he needs to go out on loan and try and rebuild himself. I think a loan move would almost destroy him in a way. I think he either needs to get a transfer or stay. I think loaning out, is he 29 or something? I don't think you can loan out a player that costs you 80 million quid and, you know, is your captain, loan them out like he's an 18-year-old who needs to go and get a bit of experience to see whether he's good enough for United. I think you either have to stick with him or sell him. I don't think a loan move helps. Shane Hutchinson says, Harry's a decent player, but there are better players for England than him, e.g. Tomori, Smalling. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't watch as much Italian football as I should, so I'm not sure on that, on whether those two players you've mentioned are a better option than Harry Maguire. Talk MU, good to see Talk. Great chatting to you, bro. Says, let's see how he does when he gets his chance. It's his positioning for me, and that can be worked on. You know what I will say about Maguire? And this is something he, you know, I don't often say this, and I'm not trolling. He can take inspiration from Philip Jones, right? I know you're thinking, Jay, you back on it, what are you talking about? It's talking nonsense. Phil Jones did almost nothing in a United shirt for 2 years. Had a good 45 minutes against Wolves, and everyone forgave him. You just need to play well. I know that sounds proper basic and oversimplifying things, but it is that simple. If Harry Maguire plays well in his next game for United, for starters, because I'll be honest, that's what I care about, people will get behind him. They will. I think there'll be a certain element of United fan base who'll rally behind him anyway, especially when you see the grief he's getting for England. That makes you want to get behind him. I know it's different, but remember the stick Beckham got in 98. I have never, and I honestly, I've never seen anything like that before. You know, you can argue since then we've obviously seen racism and things like that, which we've seen racism before, but, you know, a lot of the stuff that's gone on has been, you know, beyond the pale. But at that time, I've never seen anything, especially not at a national newspaper level, and especially not physically at games with effigies and people, you know, sort of having pictures of him and all this other stuff that was going on. A national newspaper saying, throw darts, picture of him, on a dartboard saying, throw darts at David Beckham's face. Seriously. And then they were doing what? What were they doing a few years later in another national newspaper? Putting a picture of his foot on the paper, saying touch his foot and make it better because he broke his metatarsal and we need him. Honestly. People just laying into Maguire, not laying into him, but just saying, you know, they think he's done. And Malik says Maguire's done. Generous Roy says Maguire should go for boxing, not football. Jamie White says, Jay, what do you think of playing 5 at the back to see how Harry gets on? Sorry, just having a sip of my brew there before it goes cold. Dallo and Malacia wing-backs. Bruno and Ericsson both at 8. It's a possibility. I think you're rejigging the entire team to fit Maguire in, because I don't think you need to rejig the team. It seems a bit of a stretch for me. I think Martinez and Varane are doing well at centre-back. I think Malacia and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Diogo Dalot are doing well at full-back. And I think the midfield 3 of Bruno, Ericsson and Scott McTominay at the minute not Casemiro. Scott McTominay, who's in the team on merit, works. So I'm not sure we need to rejig it. I know England often do play with a 3, and Harry Maguire has had success as a 3 for England. Maybe that's part of the problem as well. Let's not forget, though, Maguire did play well for United, or has played well for United for a big chunk of his time at United. We finished 3rd and 2nd with Maguire playing pretty much every game. And when he got injured, when we got to the Europa League final, we missed him in that final. So I don't want to rewrite history and say he's never been good for United, but he's having a torrid time of it. And this England thing isn't going to help. Should we move on? Because I think, we've done the whole Maguire thing to death. I say we're going to be doing it again later on. We're going to be having a bit of a debate. I think me, Joe, and Stephen Howson are going to be talking about Maguire and whether, it is time to get behind him, or it is time for him to move on, or what the next step is for Harry Maguire. Because at the minute, it's just pretty awful for him, innit? And, from a United point of view, you want something positive to happen for him, whether he regains his mojo and plays well for United, or if it is a case of him moving on, he moves on and we get some money for him. And we use that money to strengthen elsewhere. Hit the like button. Hit that like button. You might not like what's going on, but like the video. In the evening news, it says here, talking of centre-backs, United links with another move for Pau Torres. It says United have held a genuine interest in Pau Torres for each of the last 2 summers, and now they are being linked with him again. La Raison, obviously, whoever, relays, hey, done reports, it relays, that Torres is out of contract at Villarreal in 2024, so the La Liga club could look to cash in on the Spain international next summer. It is suggested Villarreal will be forced to negotiate his sale for less than his €65 million release clause. We have been linked with him a long time, haven't we? Going back, before the Beatles in the Europa League, it's like the article says, it's been at least a couple of years. Pau Torres, good defender, classy defender. Could be something there, possibly. Maybe that could be one of those things where if Maguire, I know there's lots of ifs and buts, if Maguire was to move on, United need another centre-back, you could look at bringing someone like Pau Torres in. Because you do need options, don't you, at centre-back? At the minute, you've got Varane and Martinez, but Varane does get injured. He played 20-odd games last season, so you can't expect him to play every single game. Now, you would expect Maguire to be the next in line. If he was to move on, then you think it'd be Lindelof the next in line. Eric Bailly looks like he's pretty much done. I know he's on loan, I think, and he's not a permanent deal, but I don't think we'll see him coming back. I'll be surprised that happens. Tuanzebe, I'm not sure what's going on there. Mengi's not there yet, so maybe there is an option, or there is a scenario that sees Pau Torres moving to Manchester United. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Do you want to see Pau Torres? Do you want to see Maguire move to make that move happen? Santa Notch says, I thought he was bang average for Leicester, just like Rom was a limited player for Everton. I think he's talking about Lukaku. Solo Sierra in the chat says, big up Jay, Torres is a top defender and would fit in perfectly at United. Ryan McCrossan says, one good game against us in the Europa League final, and we've wanted him ever since. I actually think we were in for him before then, I know what you mean. It did go turbo once he had that good game for us. But I think there was more to it than that. I think we were in for him, or linked with him before. There's always been this sort of link with Pau Torres and one or two others who've now moved on. But there was a link on there for ages with the likes of Torres. Then there was Kanai. Then there was Jules Koundé. There was all those sorts of rumours going on. And then Varane as well. Don't know what happened with that one. Right. Should we move on to Tammy Abraham? Tammy Abraham. Now, this one, again, I've seen this in the evening news, and I think this came from, if I can find it, Carrera dello Sport. Yeah, so I'll give you what the lowdown here. It says United will enter the race to sign Roma striker Tammy Abraham, according to reports. Abraham, 29, signed for Roma from Chelsea last summer and has shone in Syria during his time there. However, while the Londoner was previously quoted as saying he's in no rush to return to the Premier League, reports even from Carrera dello Sport indicate he's changed his mind over that decision to put potential suitors on red alert. And Carrera named United, Arsenal and Chelsea with an interest in his signature. I could see any of those moves happening. I'll be honest with you. I could see him going back to Chelsea. It's happened before, hasn't it? Lukaku went back there. If Chelsea after a striker, and he's proved himself at Roma, and I think he has. Why not? Arsenal, again, kind of makes sense, especially, he's from London. He might well go back to London. Arsenal brought Jesus, didn't it, from City. I don't see why they couldn't get someone like Tammy Abraham. And United are going to need a striker sooner or later, aren't we? Ronnie's 37. Martial still doubts in the injury, especially injury doubts. You know, he gets injured quite a lot. And also, last couple of seasons haven't been great. So it does feel like United would want someone in the summer, possibly Tammy Abraham. Let us know in the comments what you think of that move. I remember this rumour doing the rounds when he was at Chelsea. There was talk of him being available for around 40 million quid. I remember thinking that's a bit of a bargain for a young English striker, because you always pay a premium, don't you, on English strikers. Santa Not says it's one of Italy's big three sport papers. Thank you, bro. He knows his stuff, Santa, on that front. Emma Kay says Tammy is going to be expensive, though. Ryan McCrossan says Tammy is definitely an upgrade on Tony Marshall, and Ronnie is basically out the door. Stephen Lord says, what? Oh, I don't know what that's on about. Ed T says, now, Tammy's an English striker I could get behind us signing. None of this Ivan Toney nonsense. You're not a fan of Ivan Toney. I like Ivan Toney, mate. I think Ivan Toney could do a job at United, but I think Tammy Abraham's a bit more established, isn't it? He's had a few seasons in the Premier League. He's obviously had a couple of seasons in Serie A, and I think that out of the two, you probably think Tammy Abraham is slightly the safer bet, because Ivan Toney's had one season in the Premier League and I think one and a bit seasons. Although I do like Ivan Toney, I think a big part of it would be about the transfer fee. Gurpreet Jill says prefer Tony. Rajit Singh says, Ritiraj Singh says too early for Tammy for me. Santa Not says Ivan Toney has surprised me. He's a good decision maker. Ed T says Tony's fine as like a third string. I could see Tammy being a starter. It's not a bad shout, that, because Ivan Toney, you know, I think if he was to come in, maybe look at him, does he start every game? Maybe not. Tammy Abraham, he'd want to come to United and start every game, wouldn't he? Well, they don't both want to come and start, but I think he'd expect. Tammy Abraham wouldn't expect to come to United and be on the bench. Whippet Master says, get that chap, David. Yeah, I mean, is this the Canadian lad, isn't it? Jonathan David. We were linked with him for a little while, weren't we? I don't know what's happened there. The kid at Lille. He's doing bits, and he's had a good season last season, a good season this season. Possibly, I don't know. We've been linked with so many players at times. It's just difficult, isn't it, to remember them all and to work out what's real and what's not. Kulan Luke says, what's the price we would pay? 80 million. Fair? How much would you pay for Tammy Abraham? Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know. I think you're going to pay at least 80 million, aren't you? In this day and age. How old is he, Tammy Abraham? He's not that old, is he? Is he about 25? A bit older. 24. So, he's 25 soon. He's 24 till he's 25. So, he's still young, isn't he? He's still got at least 6 years in him, if not more. 27 goals in all competitions last season. Can't ignore that, can you? He's only scored 2 this season, but that's not, it's not that bad. It's only early doors, isn't it? So, yeah, possibly one to keep an eye out on, or an eye on even, and we will do. Hit that like button. We haven't even got 100 likes yet. What's all that about? Ed T says apparently he's got an 80 million clause. You'd think you could get Ivan Toney cheaper if you cared about that thing. I'm not trying to save the Glazers money, because the parasites don't care about that. But if you spend less money on one player, you can spend more on another. Hopefully, anyway. That's how it should work. We'll have to wait and see, though. London Red says Tammy, Sancho, and Rashford dream front three. Hasn't they? He's got to be in there, hasn't he? Paid 100 million euros for him. We'll have to wait and see, though. Whether Tammy Abraham does come to United, whether Pau Torres does, what is happening with Harry Maguire? I mean, it's all up in the air at the minute, isn't it? But thankfully, there's football on the horizon, because it's been a bit of a slog all this international break. Jordan Amor, who's been a member of the Academy for 21 months, says Raspadori and Napoli is dynamite. Thanks for your support, Jordan. Yeah. Football's back soon, innit? The derby this weekend. Says with, cautiously optimistic about that one at best. But it'd be good to have the football back anyway, because all this international stuff just bores me, to be honest with you. Anyway, I'll leave it there. We're going to be back later on with the debate with me, Joe, and Steve. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the chat there. Hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribing already, go on, hit it. Just press that link there in the chat. Hit the subscribe button. We want to get to 700,000 subscribers. And with your support, we can do it. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.